and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our virtual open enrollment seminar. At this time, we will go over Lincoln Financial Group Critical Illness Benefits for Plan Year 2025. Before we get started, I would like to brief everyone on a couple of housekeeping items. All attendees are muted and will remain muted throughout the presentation. If you have a question, please type it in the chat box located on the right-hand side of the presentation screen. And be informed, though, that if you do type a question in that chat box, everyone attending the session will see your question and your name. So if you have a question that is sensitive or confidential in nature, we recommend that you reach out to the County Benefits Division or your department's benefits ambassador. Lastly, today's seminar is being recorded and a copy will be posted on the Benefits Open Enrollment website. At this time, I will turn it over to our presenter, Marian Young.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that introduction. Hello, everybody. I am Marianne Young. I am with Lincoln Financial as the Senior Account Director, and I am responsible for the overall Lincoln experience that the County of San Diego employees has with us through our different benefit offerings. So today I'm here to talk about your critical illness coverage that is available to you for the 2025 open enrollment. There are no changes from the plan since it rolled out for the first time last year for the 2024 plan year. So today may be a repeat for some of you and just a update on what the benefits are and what to expect if you were to enroll. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started. So the critical illness insurance is really a benefit that helps to pay for additional expenses in the event that you or a covered family member becomes ill with a serious condition. So this is a cash benefit. It can be used to pay for any expenses that you may have. Whether those are, health insurance deductibles or co-pays, if there's additional child care expenses, or just regular living expenses that incur on a regular day-to-day basis. So again, this is a benefit that's paid out for if you enroll for you and your covered family members, and it provides additional cash benefits in the event that you have you are diagnosed with a qualified critical illness, which we'll go over in more detail in just a moment. So the critical illness coverage amounts that are available to you as employees are listed here. You can enroll in either $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, or a $40,000 benefit. If you enroll for yourself, any dependent children will automatically also be covered from the critical illness insurance at a 50% benefit of whatever you elect. So if you elect, let's say $30,000 for yourself, your covered dependent children would be then able to receive $15,000 in benefit with no additional cost to you. However, if you would like to add a spouse or a partner, those benefits you would be paying for, they are available at an additional cost. You would need to enroll as well because your spouse or partner would only be eligible for 50% of your coverage amount. So again, using that same $30,000 example, if you as an employee were to enroll in $30,000, your spouse or domestic partner would be then eligible to enroll in up to $15,000. So all of these benefits that you see here, either for yourself or your spouse or partner, are available to you. There is no evidence of insurability required, meaning there's no medical or health questionnaire needed in order to enroll in any of these benefits at any of the amounts you see listed. I did talk about the covered conditions or the diagnosis that need to occur to qualify as a critical illness. And you see those mostly listed here. These are the most frequent or most common, I should say, conditions that we would see covered. That would be heart attack, advanced COPD, invasive cancer as an example, Alzheimer's, stroke, and then major organ failures. So you can see where there's the percentages, and that ties back to your benefit amount. So if you enroll, for example, in the $40,000 coverage amount, and you are then diagnosed, let's say, with a stroke, you have a condition, a covered condition, it's a stroke, you would receive that cash payout at 100%. So that full $40,000 cash benefit would be paid out for that stroke, for example. Um, if, however, you are diagnosed with advanced Alzheimer's, that benefit would be paid out for 50%. So some of the covered conditions pay out at 100% of the benefit amount elected, whereas some are at a lower percentage. So non-invasive cancers, for example, are covered at 30%. A couple of other things to highlight down here in orange. Your critical illness benefits do include coverage for some accidental injuries as well as some occupational diseases. So those, whereas some critical illness benefits may exclude those things, these diseases or injuries would indeed be covered on your policy. Taking a look then at an example. So we have two examples here. One is for Joe, who has multiple conditions, and we have an example of what that payout may look like. And then we have Sam here, who has a recurrence of the same condition. So looking at Joe, Joe enrolled in $10,000 of critical illness benefit, and then later was diagnosed with arterial or vascular disease, which required a stent. Because of that arterial vascular disease diagnosis, Joe received a 25% benefit and received $2,500. But later that same year in May, Joe has a heart attack, which occurred within 6 months of the original diagnosis. And since that heart attack occurred within those 6 months of the original diagnosis of the coronary artery disease, Joe would then receive the full remaining balance, the 7,500, for a total benefit paid out of 10,000. So again, these are multiple conditions that Joe experienced within that time frame. Sam, for example, has enrolled in also the $10,000 benefit in January. Later, he was diagnosed with a heart attack. And after that heart attack, Joe would have received that $10,000 benefit in full. And he's recovering, going through the process of the treatment plan with his doctor. But in March, he has a second heart attack. And this happens within 12 months of the initial heart attack. And because that happened within that recurrence is within that 12-month period, no payment would be made on that second heart attack because it occurred within 12 months. However, looking at an example with Jess here, you could see Jess again enrolled in that $10,000 benefit. Jess has an initial heart attack at 10,000 and receives $10,000. And then he has a subsequent heart attack, but it's more than 12 months later. In that scenario, Jess receives a second payment of $10,000 because that subsequent heart attack happens and occurs more than 12 months after the initial heart attack. Included with your critical illness coverage, we also have what's called the health assessment benefit. So what this means is that for any Any health screening or covered health screening and qualifying tests that you may take while enrolled for your critical illness benefit, you can receive up to $100 cash benefit for you and your covered family members. So if you have children, they would automatically be enrolled and be eligible also for this $100 cash benefit. Or if you were to enroll your spouse or domestic partner, they too would be eligible for this $100 cash benefit. So what this means is that during the year, if at any point you or your covered family member receive a qualified test or screening, you could then submit a claim for the health assessment benefit to receive your $100 payment. We have on here, there's a bunch of different types of screenings, but again, what I show here is the most common. Those would be glucose testing, cholesterol testing, so blood tests for your triglycerides and cholesterol. Those are your blood panels that you may get during a standard physical. Any kind of blood test for cancer screening, if you have a colonoscopy, a pap smear, a mammogram, EKGs, chest x-rays, those types of tests are what would qualify, and you would be then eligible for that $100 cash benefit. Again, each year, this is a cash benefit available each year for you and each of your covered family members. In addition to that, we also have health advocate services available. So this is an additional resource that's available to those who are enrolled in the critical illness insurance coverage for the year. And this gives you access to confidential counselors, advocates, maybe if you want to talk through a new prescription that you want to see, if you have questions about that prescription, or maybe you have had a recent diagnosis or treatment plan, and you want to engage your health advocate to discuss maybe what other options are available to you, or to talk about the treatment plan itself, if there's different specialists you want to see, or even if it is around helping to negotiate to lower your out-of-pocket costs. The health advocate services are available to you and your covered family members once you're enrolled in the critical illness insurance. So that is just an additional benefit or service that's available to all of our County of San Diego employees who participate in the program. And then last but not least, just to recap, the benefits are a cash benefit that's paid out to you in the event that you or a covered family member is diagnosed with that critical illness or have an event, a qualified event. You would also be eligible for the personal health advocate and the health assessment benefit. The costs are available to you at group rates, so they're typically much less than what you would see if you were to go out into the marketplace and try to secure critical illness insurance as a private individual. So typically those rates that you'll see offered by the County of San Diego are far less expensive, and they're very convenient because they are managed through payroll deduction. So those payments are handled through your payroll deduction. They're taken out of your payroll and paid directly to Lincoln so that those coverages are in place, similar to how other benefits are administered. And also on the critical illness, as I mentioned before, there's no evidence of insurability. So no medical questionnaires are required in order to enroll. And there's also no waiting period. So if you enroll for this benefit on January 1st and you happen to have a qualifying event or an incident, on January 2nd, those benefits would be payable to you as of that day. So with that, I know I went through that pretty quick, so I'm going to just wrap up here and see if you have any questions that I can address.
Hi, Marianne. We've had a couple of questions come through the chat. One is, how is spousal coverage handled if the spouse is also a county employee?
So the coverage would be for one employee. If the employee is Also a spouse, they can enroll as a spouse or as an employee, but they would not be able to enroll as both. So if they want to, if an employee wants to cover their spouse, and that spouse happens to also be a County of San Diego employee, that's fine, as long as the spouse isn't also enrolling as an employee. So basically, that double coverage would not be available.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mhm.
Another question. How do you submit the claims? And are these, or are the $100 coming out of the coverage amount? So it sounds to me, and Maria, if you can clarify, it sounds like you're asking about the health assessment benefit, the wellness benefit, as well as the critical illness if they're handled separately. Can you clarify, please? Um, yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Okay.
So, though the health assessment benefit and a critical illness benefit, or sorry, excuse me, let me back that up. A health assessment claim and a critical illness claim would each be submitted separately. They can be submitted in a couple of different ways. One is there are paper forms that can be completed and either emailed or faxed or mailed into Lincoln. But the best way is to go online and submit the claim, whether it's the health assessment benefit or the critical illness benefit. Each of those could be submitted online through the portal, which can be found at lfg.com or lincolnfinancial.com. And the claim itself can be created and submitted, in any documentation, medical documentation to support that claim can also be uploaded online through the portal. So that seems to be the easiest way. And to answer the second part of that question, the $100 health assessment benefit is standalone to the critical illness benefit. So the critical illness payment would not be reduced at all if there was a health assessment benefit paid that same year. Did that answer the question?
More than likely. We'll find out.
Okay,
In the meantime, oh yes, thank you. That did
of
answer the
course.
individual's question. Another question, Marianne. If you have been enrolled in this benefit for several years and time goes by and you forget to submit a wellness benefit claim, how far back can you go to get the reimbursement?
Great question. So as long as your coverage is still in place, you're able to go back and submit those claims for um, previous years. As long as you haven't already taken that claim for that year, you would still be eligible to submit it.
Okay. Thank you, Marianne. And I want to add additional information on that. Lincoln Financial Group took over the critical illness program just this year, 2024. So if you've had it prior to 2024, the prior carrier was Allstate, and you should still be able to submit your old claims to them. If you do need some assistance with that, please reach out to the benefits division. I'd be happy to provide the claim form for that because they do require a paper document. Whereas Lincoln Financial, you can actually call in your claim. So I hope that's helpful and answers that question. If I can share with the audience as well, I did put within the chat a link to the instructions summary for filing a claim with Lincoln Financial. I also included in the chat a link to the health assessment flyer so you can get an idea of what qualifying health circumstances would get you reimbursed for a claim. Okay. Moving right along with more questions. Are the carotid artery screening and thyroid screening eligible for the $100?
Ooh, that's a good question. I I'm going to say I believe so. However, I can provide after the call, Deidre, I could send to you the list of all of the screenings that are eligible, and maybe we can post those in response, because I don't want to say 100% yes without confirming that, and I don't have that answer at the top of my head. So I will
Okay.
provide the response to that in a follow-up.
Okay. And for the individual who inquired with that, I'm going to send you an email right now from the benefits inbox, letting you know we captured your question and we're going to provide some follow-up for you. Um, I guess in addition to that, Marianne, if you can clarify, let me go backwards here. It looks like everything shifted. Give me just a second here. Is there a link to view illnesses that are not covered by the plan? So I guess this can go hand in hand, Marianne, where that list would identify either
Um,
or.
I I could do a list that is covered by the plan, but a list of illnesses that are not covered that would be, a really long list because this is really specific to critical illnesses. Again, like heart attack, cancer, stroke. Those are really like the top ones that would be qualifying as a critical illness, but I can provide a more robust listing to you, need you to follow up as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Another good question. Is stroke 100% critical illness? Is that
Yes. Yeah.
okay? And adding on to that question, I have an instance where my wife had store store and her claim was denied. Oh, had a stroke and her claim was denied. The claim was because there was no permanent damage, and my wife is covered as a dependent. Um, is that something this individual would reach back out to Lincoln Financial to
Yeah.
dispute or
So
appeal?
I would say that the damage, I'm not sure if this was a claim that was reviewed with Lincoln or if this was with the prior carrier. It's based on the diagnosis of um, the medical information and the medical information that was provided that would determine whether
Mhm.
a claim is, or I'm sorry, a event is eligible or not for that specific claim. So I would say in this instance, without knowing any of the background and things like this of each claim, it would be hard for me to speak to what the requirement for that particular case look like. But I would say in the event that the claim was denied and there's medical documentation that supports that a stroke did indeed occur and there's medical support to document that, I would recommend an appeal or to reach out to the case manager for additional information about the denial.
Excellent. Thank you, Marianne.
Of
Another
course.
question here. How do you access the health advocate services?
Oh, that's a great question. I will provide a flyer to you, Nidra, if it's not already available through your employee site. I'll provide additional information on how those services can be accessed after the call.
Okay. And for the individual who's inquiring, I'm going to send you an email as well right now so that we have record that you've asked and we have to provide some additional information back to you. So that would be Aubrey. Okay. All righty. Let's see if we have more questions coming through. Let's see. How much does the insurance cost for critical illness per paycheck? And where can we look up the plan detail?
More great questions. I love it. So I know that your open enrollment is available next week, if I'm not mistaken, where the rates will be shown there and when they're available. And those are as along with the different details around the plan. So when it comes to um, what what you would need to know from a rate perspective and things like that, all of that information should be available to you during the open enrollment period.
And you are spot on. And what I've done, I included in the chat a link to the benefits summary for the plan. There are 4 pages, and the fourth page breaks down the rate based on your age.
Thank you so much
Okay.
for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. See.
Great.
Okay, Aubrey, I'm still working on that email for you.
Wonderful. Great questions, everybody. All
Right.
right. Is that it for now?
Looks like that's it for now. I'd certainly like to remind everybody that this has been recorded and we will add this to our benefits website within the next day or so. But I also want to remind you your benefits ambassadors are available to you to address questions. And you can also reach out to the benefits division directly if you have additional questions. I'm going to put our email address in the chat as well. There we go. All righty. And
Awesome.
before we close out, I want to thank Marianne for the information regarding our critical illness benefit, and I want to thank all attendees for making time to get all the insight and info for this plan. Please spread the word with your fellow employees and let them know this is a great benefit to have. Marianne, do you have any closing remarks to make?
I just want to thank everybody again for your attendance, for your great questions. Nidra, thank you so much for hosting the call and inviting me today. If there's any follow-up questions from the team that I can help with, please let me know. I'm happy to assist. Thank you,
All right.
everybody.
Thank you. This concludes our seminar. Everyone have a great rest of the day.